All right, I think we're live with Calvin Thompson of Rausch Coleman Homes. How you doing, man?
I'm so good. It's beautiful outside and it's a great day to be alive.
Hey, I hope I'm not blinding you with behind me here. We have just moved into our office yesterday, and we don't have blinds yet, so they're on their way. So I apologize.
It just looks like you're in heaven, so
Hey,
it's awesome. It's
yeah.
glowing.
I love it. Well, Calvin, I'm so glad we've been talking about doing a video together for a long time. One thing from God, I think like 4 or 5, I think almost 6 years ago, maybe 5.5 years ago, when we first met with Rausch Coleman Homes, you were hyper passionate about the customer experience, and I think for the past 5.5, 6 years, that has been a consistent theme of conversations that you've had with me. And really, we've been able to see it on our end as your clients come out and are able to buy homes. And I figured you're the perfect person to have on to talk about the customer experience. So thanks for being with us today on this.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Let's do it. Just bring it on.
Well, one thing that the first question that comes to my mind, and I stole your own verbiage on this, is,
Okay.
um, you know, walk me through the conversion process of how you build an amazing customer experience and how you convert a client to become an advocate.
Yeah, absolutely. So, kind of going back to the beginning, when I signed up with Rausch Coleman, I had a customer service background. I mean, I started at 19 in new home sales. I mean, that's crazy. I don't know why they thought that was a good idea to hire a 19-year-old, but I did a lot of customer service. And so when I signed up or when I started working for Rausch Coleman, there's people on the stage selling just a ridiculous amount of homes. And I thought, I don't have the knowledge and experience right now to be at that level of sales. But what I know that I can do right now is give everyone the best customer experience. And I knew I could be the best at giving the most exciting customer experience, taking care of customers so that they can be our advocates and referral partners for years down the road. So I think it boils down to just having a passion and a love for people. And you show up to work every day with the mindset of how many people can I help versus how many houses can I sell today?
Yeah.
Because if you help people, the sales are going to happen. It's because if you have people that genuinely feel that energy and they know that you care about them, it's just going to transcend the rest of the sales process. So one of my favorite quotes is, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah.
So I can sit there and give facts, figures, information all day long. But if I'm sitting with a customer and I disarm them just by saying something simple like, there's no judgment here. I'm just trying to get you information so that you can make the best decision, whether it's with me or somewhere else. This
Yeah.
information is universal. So when we start talking almost in generalities at the beginning, and then we start narrowing them down to why new construction is the best option for them, it's a slam dunk every time because you've disarmed them from the beginning, because I'm just here to help. They pay me to give you information about buying a house. So take advantage of that.
I love it. That is so in line with a lot of the way that we train here at Premier Credit, because we align with a sales trainer named Mahan Khalsa, who talks about how the feeling of being sold is kind of the same feeling of being punched in the gut a
Yeah,
little bit. You're kind of,
absolutely.
there's a natural reaction where you're just not very comfortable with it. And oftentimes, just through, like what you said, the generalities, the asking questions, really trying to allow the client to make a decision for themselves and just kind of guiding that process, that's where you build an amazing customer experience in any industry, I think. So I think that that's so cool that that's something that's ingrained. And what's funny about that is that, your pull-through rates with clients who come into our services, whether it's credit repair or refer to us, I mean, they're much higher than a lot of people throughout the country, because there is that level of, hey, I'm just here to try to help you. There's no judgment. I'm an advocate for you. And then slowly they become an advocate back, right? So that's super cool.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. And it's seen every day with your customers as well.
Yeah, I just love being able to be a part of someone's life, right? Buying a house is a huge milestone. And especially in our American culture, that's like a staple right along with getting married. I
Yeah.
mean, buying a house is a huge deal. And just being able to be the wedding planner in that situation and kind of guide them through that whole process of what that looks like,
Yeah.
it's so rewarding. And I got to go to a housewarming party of some friends of mine. They weren't, okay, back up. They weren't friends of mine when we started. Now they're friends of mine. Like
Oh, that's cool.
it's crazy. I'm going to dinner tonight with a friend that I sold a house to, and we immediately connected. And they bought a house from me. And it's not so much about that, but we've built relationships that actually lasted outside of the transaction.
Yeah.
So I'm blessed because now I have people to hang out with me when normally I'd just be lonely. But it's really awesome just to be part of so many people's lives and see their journey. It's so rewarding.
I got to tell you, I think that most people in sales, regardless of what you're selling, probably don't leave the transaction with the client inviting them to dinner.
Right.
You know, that's, if anything, I think it's the opposite. I think that there's such a high level of persuasion and such a high level of kind of arm twisting that by the time everything is done, people walk away from it with a really negative kind of feeling. So that's really cool that you had that. And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to talk about advocating for, you know, clients and then have them advocating for you. And you do it at such a high level. And I would like to kind of narrow it down a little bit as well, because you're credit repair clients. So obviously, you know, I'm not a coach. I'm not doing these videos for any other reason than to help our referral partners and our clients get a better understanding of how they can utilize credit repair services, and to kind of show some of the people out in the industry who are just kicking butt doing it. And you're one of those people. I mean, why do you have such a high pull-through rate when you refer people over to credit repair? And what are the things that you're doing on your end to make sure these clients come back out and credit qualify?
Absolutely. So I work, just for some perspective, I work in a model home. So most of the people that I talk to, they're either going to be from social media, they're going to be from our realtor partners, or they're going to be people just walking in off the street. So typically either the social media referrals that I get, or people that are just walking in and they're curious, they're going to see our signage saying, you know, hey, only 500 down, only 700 a month. They're going to come in and be curious, right? Mm-hmm. So that's a great conversation segue to where I can ask them, you know, where have you started the home buying process? And what does that look like? It's not where are you in the home buying process, it's have you even taken that first step in finding out what you can do? And that's all people want to know. So when they walk in my office and we start talking about credit repair, there's a no judgment environment. My energy does not change when we're talking from the beginning to when they tell me they have a 500 credit score. So the energy stays the same. So this is my fun story. My mom and dad, when they went to go purchase their first house, they were telling me they met with a mortgage officer at a bank. I don't know where it was. They sat down in this lady's office, and she was just, her energy was just awful, just kind of hateful and rude. Well, when she pulled their credit and saw that they had excellent credit scores, her whole mood changed, because she's like, I'm going to get them pre-approved for a mortgage. Like, she was prejudging from the beginning. But I think that's a thing, is that people's energy can sometimes change when you hear, oh, well, you have a non-qualifying score right now, and it may take, you know, the full credit repair experience to get to where you need to go. But, you know, when I'm there, I'm like, hey, you know, we help people, you know, buy houses all the time in your position. You make them feel normal, because it is normal. Not everyone has perfect credit. In fact, you'll know the statistics better than I do, but most people have less than perfect credit, and it's relatively normal. Yeah. So being able to sit down with them and be like, hey, you're not alone. We talk to people all the time, and here's the best part. We can still help you buy a house. We just have to go through a few more steps than what we would normally have to go to if you walked in my door with a perfect score. Yeah. So we tell them what that looks like. I talk to them about you and talked about our relationship that we have with Rausch Coleman, and just tell them like, hey, you know, we follow up with you every step of the way. And so my experience, I like to follow up with these people about once a month and just make sure they're still engaged, because people can get discouraged halfway through the process, but if I'm not following up and saying like, hey, like just letting you know I haven't forgotten about you, you know, where are you at? Are you comfortable? Do you have questions? Do we need to get Alex on the phone? You know, just make sure that they're still engaged, because they still need and want to buy a house. They're still in that home buying process. It's just some people have a little bit of a longer home buying process than someone that walks in that's just, you know, have been working on their credit for a really long time.
Yeah. So the two big takeaways from that is, one, you nailed it on the head with the energy thing. People absolutely, you know, and it kind of flip-flops, right? They either think everybody's got perfect credit, and then as soon as they find out they don't, they bail on them. That's what we see a lot of. Or it's vice versa, right? They just don't care until they pull your credit. And I think that having the same level of engagement and treating all of your client base the same, you know, I know that it could probably be really difficult, but you know, 2, 3, 5, you know, in Rausch Coleman's case, a lot of extra deals every year. That makes a big difference, right? And so that's the first thing that I love that you touched on. And then the second thing as well is making sure that you're not letting these people fall out of your pipeline, because you can take a very rational person, put them into the home buying process, and it makes them a little bit irrational, right? You put them in a credit repair, you're kind of nudging them off the cliff a little bit on that one. And so one of the biggest frustrations that we oftentimes see is that we have to work to keep people engaged in the home buying process so that they can actually get all the way through to the point where they can credit qualify, right? And that's one of the biggest successes that I think you execute on, is communicating with these clients, keeping energy high, and seeing it all the way through. So those are awesome points for sure. And our new office has a glass door, and it's so much fun. Everybody's walking by, knocking on it as I'm recording.
I am so ADD. I get distracted by anything. I've had like 3 emails pop down here. I'm like, oh, what? I can't focus on anything. And it's hard.
But we're almost done. I've got one last question for you to finish off. And just for, you were a new sales pro at one point. You were young, you were getting into this industry. There really isn't a lot of new blood in the real estate and mortgage industry. I mean, compared to other industries. And so, you know, for somebody who's looking to get into new home sales, you know, what would be some recommendations that you'd have for them?
So if someone were to get a job as a sales professional, and it can be anything, it can be real estate, it can be mortgage, insurance, credit repair, anything related to, you know, your paycheck depends on how much you work and how effective you work. I would say I've got a handful of things I wrote down. But one, this has been kind of my theme for myself this year, is self-care. And we hear a lot about self-care right now. And taking care of yourself, it's so important in a sales professional role, or any kind of role where you're having to pour into other people, is that you cannot effectively pour into other people until you pour into yourself. You can't give unless you give to yourself. And that can be as simple as actually taking a day off. And it is so hard in the sales professional role. You want to just work and grind all the time. You want to take every call. You want to answer every email right away. Those are all important things, but eventually, you know, you're going to burn out. And I take that very seriously. I know that burnout is a real thing. And that's kind of been our conversations lately. We've had an incredible first quarter, and we're still carrying that on into April. We're getting ready to go over 40 sales this month, just in our Tulsa division among 9 salespeople. So I say all that to say is I'm really appreciative that our leadership has taken a step back, saying like, listen, if you need a day off, take a day off, because you're not effective if you're not taking care of yourself. So that's very, very important. I know that's something that from the beginning, people are typically going to rush and go, and you're going to do that for a long time. But, you know, a few months down the road, you're going to want to relax.
I feel like that's where a lot of people leave sales, right? Because they work hard for 3 months and they're not making 6 figures. And then, well, this doesn't work, right? And then they're complaining to the person that's been in it for just shy of a decade, who knows that kind of, sometimes you have to be unbalanced. Sometimes you have to be taking care of yourself. And
yeah,
so that's a learned, that's wisdom that takes a little bit of time, but that's really good advice from your sales pros. I like that a lot.
Absolutely. So just a couple other things that are important once you're in the role, as far as having a great customer experience, is set the right expectations every time, follow up, communicate, and be present.
Yeah.
If you can master at least half of those things, I mean, you're going to be so effective.
Yeah.
And that sets you apart. And again, we're talking about building advocates. So when you are present and you communicate, you follow up, and from the beginning, you've told them what they're getting into. I want every person that signs a contract with me to be 100% all in, committed. And I tell them that, like, hey, you're signing up. You can't walk away when you sign this contract. You are all in, and you know what your payment's going to be. You know how much you're going to have to bring to the table. You know your conditions. You know how long it's going to take to build. You know what you're getting in your house. We've had that conversation. It's time to go. And then we sign up, and they're happy, and then we go out to dinner like tonight.
That's sometimes the easiest thing that people don't do, right? Is set clear expectations, because otherwise you're just backpedaling the whole time. And one thing that we train on here all the time, which is if you set proper expectations, and as the client is working towards making a decision, if there are yellow lights or red lights, that's a good thing, right? Because you're catching those things early instead of being all the way down the sales cycle and having the consequences be 100 times greater, right?
Yeah.
Because if a client, if you have to tell a client, that's not going to work, it's an unrealistic time frame, but we can get this done in this time frame. If you do that at the beginning, they're going to be much happier compared to when they think they're supposed to be moving into their home or qualifying for a house and they can't get it done, right? So that's a constant battle in credit repair. You and I have to deal with that a lot. In fact, we had a file yesterday, but it makes such a big difference to be able to set those expectations up front. And I got to tell you, Kevin, I love talking to you about sales. I love, before we started this, talking to you about your personal development and everything that you have going on. You're absolutely kicking butt. You're such a great referral partner for Premier. And we just can't thank you enough, my friend. So before we sign off, do you have anything else that you wanted to touch on today?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate all the stuff that you do for our customers. It really makes it easy because, again, I want to be that full service, help that customer take that next step. And sometimes that next step is hurry up and wait. Yeah. And it's not fun. I mean, we don't like having those conversations. I mean, in my perfect world, every single person that walks in my door is leaving with a key in their hand. Yeah. That's my perfect best case scenario, but it's not that way. Yeah. So again, when you're talking about being an effective salesperson and being able to be there for your customers and provide the best service to your customers, sometimes that's, hey, you're not here now, but we can get you there. And I have a resource that can help make that happen. And so that's when I can call you and refer to you, because I know that customer is going to be taken care of. And when we're attacking it from both sides, that customer is just going to be so excited. And again, be an advocate for both of us. And at the end of the day, we're sitting at the closing table and just having so much fun. And those are the closings where there's tissues involved, right? Exactly. They didn't think they could buy. And because two people sat down and took the time to get them from point A to point B, it is the most rewarding and fulfilling experience in any type of employment. I cannot think of any other job that can give you that much satisfaction of completely changing someone's life. Yeah. So that's why I do what I do. And I appreciate the fact that you're here and being able to make that happen for every single person that walks in my door.
I love it. I'm going to take that last 20 seconds, print it out, put it up on our wall for our sales guys out there. So that's
awesome.
I absolutely love it, Calvin. You do such a great job. For everybody out there, Calvin Thompson with Rausch Coleman Homes. He does a fantastic job in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Obviously, if you have questions or if we can be of additional resources to you, let us know. But Calvin, thanks for taking time, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Have a good one.